Pleased to call to order the June 13th, 2024 meeting of the Administrative Control Board for the North Summit Fire Special Services District. Just double check on should be something close to.
Yeah. Well, you got Pledge of Allegiance after closed. Oh, but we're skipping that because
Okay, just download it. Why doesn't this is weird. It downloads and right over it doesn't. This one. All right, so let's do roll call. Steve. Roll call.
I'm here.
Which me? Where do you hear us?
Steve Dallin, here.
Louise Willoughby here.
John Adams here. REI Nady's here.
Roger Armstrong here. And in addition, we have Tyler Rouser, Battalion Chief. Ryan Stack, County Attorney's Office, Bill Nielsen, Chief of the North Summit Fire District. Visitor, which is Jackie.
Yeah, thank you.
So with that finished, I will entertain a motion to, is there something you wanted to do first?
I was just hoping to help her out if she's in the time crunch.
Tell me what it is.
My husband is teaching the class I was gonna teach tonight, so I'm not in a hurry, but I am happy to work on whatever schedule you have. Thank you for that.
No problem.
I don't, this is not going to be long, but I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session for personnel.
So
Second.
Moved by Ari, seconded by Louise. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're now moving to closed session for personnel.
We'll be back.
No, you.
We're leaving our LED this.
Not one show.
I mean, it's funny, it's looking, not maybe you're thinking of.
That's just
Funniest.
Charlie's.
Rogers, this one.
sorry for the killed.
Jack, was that too long for
No,
you?
it wasn't.
Okay, fantastic.
Sorry, checking for me.
Oh, good. Didn't tell you.
All right, we are back in an open meeting. I would like, are we back on?
Oh, yeah.
Chris back in?
Recording. It doesn't look like yes.
Okay, I will invite everybody to say, would you please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
It's not having my computer stick in my butt. We were waiting on one, right?
Whatever you want.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tyler, I like the choices. One of them makes no sense.
I know.
It might be colonial, but I can't tell.
It's what Google found for me.
Okay. Next up, we have the chief's report. Yeah,
Postpone that, but if we may just.
absolutely.
Okay.
We don't have to do that every time, so I won't take long.
Sure.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Well, I gave you a magazine because what we're really trying to do is we're trying to build community.
Okay.
And that's a little community magazine that talks about the kinds of classes and stuff that we do, you know, the potato patch, the success we had last year. We had 25,000 potatoes out of less than 2 acres last year, and over 800 families came to take their own potatoes, yeah. Now, this is only a half acre and it's a little smaller, that was Heber, a smaller community, and so we're looking to get 200 families to come pick their own potatoes at the end of the summer. Now, how the process works, and please interrupt me if you have questions, is we are ready, when we have your signature, we are ready to till the earth, to get the grass mixed in, because the grass has a nitrogen that's really important for the potatoes. We're doing potatoes because they take the least amount of water, and the leaves with the potatoes are poisonous to the deer and all the little neighbors we have that like to tackle crops. So, you know, it gives us a kind of an easy first start. And I personally am a potato person. So, you know, a lot of people in America, you know, like the potatoes, but it's really, budget, it's where we live and it's all the other people interested in what we're growing. So, you can't grow potatoes twice in 1 year after another because you need to replenish the earth. And so what we plan to do at the end, and I'm jumping ahead, is to replenish that half acre at the end of the year with a certain kind of bean or pea. There's 2 or 3 choices that you have that replenish it so that you could in fact do potatoes again, or you could do beans or squash or something else. Now, I know I don't have much time, so I apologize for kind of maybe giving you more information than you'd like. So we start with we till the earth. Next Wednesday night, this is with my optimistic point of view that we will have a contract tonight and move forward. We'll plant potatoes. We have it's a miracle, right? There's a machine that plants the potatoes for us. And we'll go around and plant the ones around the edge. It's kind of a funny shape, so there'll probably be some areas there. Plus, there are some potatoes that don't go into the dirt. So we have the community come out and we do that. I already have 4 gals chairing this with me from different neighborhoods in the area. I have a group, I have a Colgate that is real interested in taking on the responsibility of one night. I'll be there for every night unless I get to go to the beach or something. But you know, as a consistent person. But and then Hoytsville to take one night, and the people from Hoytsville do the watering and the weeding. And it's an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. And I'll be there by myself when I don't have somebody, but I will be there. And I have lots of people interested in doing it. The reason that I'm here talking to you, because I live in Washington, this is my town. I don't want to just be growing stuff out there in Heber. And the fire station is the center of the town that I live in. And that's why I have continued to come forward to Tyler and Ben and Ryan and say, you know, this is the spot that I want to do because it's very visible for my community. We don't have a grocery store. I mean, we do have a gas station, but you know, we don't have a community place, but we have, you know, the community place is the church. I know the SS pool, that's awesome. What about all the people that are not? And we have 10 acres in our little park, the church. But this is about community. And I want to bring the people out that might not come out if it was at somebody's church or it's, you know, we need to come together as a community. The fire station, it's part of the makeup of the mission statement. It feels like it to me to be part of the community. And so it's a really good fit. We'd love to do it more than 1 year, you know. We're interested in that little triangle because of where it is, both with the fire station and on the main road of our little community. So we water and weed for 3 or 4 months. We address if we have raccoons or something like that. We have community people who are volunteering their equipment and their time to till the earth and to plant potatoes. And we have lots of the youth that are going to help us plant it. It's not that big, so we'll involve a lot of people, but we don't need a lot of people
How
to
many
make.
potatoes you can do that?
We got 25,000. Isn't it more like a half an acre?
I don't know.
This is 0.33.
Okay.
That was the information, that's good.
Yeah, I think we can.
Okay. Well, we got 25,000 pounds out of under 2 acres. So I would say 7,000 pounds. It's a lot of potatoes. And we have potatoes that are ready that, I mean, for whatever reason, our philanthropists that helped fund us a little bit, we had 2 orders of potatoes and these potatoes are ready to plant. And so there should be a particularly good crop.
And at the end of this, how are the potatoes distributed? Are they sold or are people in the community coming to potatoes?
That's a really good question. What we did last year is we do roll call when you come down to weed or plant or harvest. And if you come 4 times to help, then it's free. We charge $15 for a 35-pound bag if you didn't do anything. It's still a pretty good deal, but that's to buy the potatoes for next year. Because, you know, we're just doing it ourselves, you know, nobody's helping us. Just
And are
us.
you a nonprofit? Are you a
Yes, we are.
nonprofit?
And, well, we explained the details of that to you. We have applied, but we're under the Wasatch Community Foundation for the use of their nonprofit status until ours is complete, so. What is that?
I did a search with the Department of Commerce and there is a registration for your group as a registered nonprofit.
The state,
Yeah.
the state, just not federal. We haven't gotten approved federal, yes.
And is anybody going to jail? Is this legal?
This license and site use agreement,
Can we grow potatoes on the fire station property if that's what the chief desires to do?
I don't see anything that would.
We will be having everyone sign yes, that they will not be holding anyone, and it would include you. And me.
Chris Robinson, you are my favorite potato person. What do you think about this? Chris?
I don't have a big problem with it. I think that, I mean, I'm surprised that, has it already been planted, you say, that you've already got some early potatoes, or you're asking permission to plant it now?
We're asking permission. The potatoes are on pallets.
Okay, they're on pallets. Yeah, I don't see any harm in it. I think if, I mean, I don't even know that there's a lot of liability. Brian might be able to tell us if, you know, generally a private landowner, if they let the public use their property for recreation or for something, there's, you know, a statute that indemnifies them. It's only when you charge for it. I don't know what that statute is where there's a piece of public property and we're letting, you know, a group of citizens use it as a community garden. It doesn't seem like it's a terrible thing.
You and I went through a potato museum in Boise, as I recall.
Yeah.
It was fascinating, fascinating hour and a half with my colleague Chris, who loves potatoes, it turns out.
Well, I actually went on a potato mission to Russia.
There you go.
It's a whole other story.
The only thing I worry about is some of those tools for harvesting potatoes can be really sharp, as I recall. But they have long tines so you can get those potatoes out.
The families go in the field and harvest it themselves with a little.
Little hoe.
Yeah, we're not.
So what I like about this is we're trying to build goodwill in this community as it relates to the fire department. And I think that this is actually an innovative way to do that, given the location and given what I hope will be incredibly positive interactions with our firefighters, who are probably potato people too.
No problem, buy potatoes.
We've saved our houses more than once. It will be a positive interaction. And we are also going to have a harvest feast at the end there at the fire station in October with the fire department, whatever aspects of it. We were hoping you guys had handled the meat and we're gonna cook the potatoes. And the dessert.
So this is essentially a free license to grow potatoes on a third of an acre adjacent to the Wanchit Fire Station, as I read this. What's the term, 1 year?
The term is, I believe it is set up to be year to year.
4 to 5 months is in the contract. So we're out November 22nd and we would be out in October.
So we'll be able to evaluate how it works and whether there are any issues. We have insurance, I assume, for people coming on the fire department property generally,
We have insurance. They will be required to maintain their own liability insurance.
and naming us as additional insured.
Yes, the district has to be.
Is
named.
is there a nonprofit that would be our lessee?
Yes, we have a 501.
Excuse me. They're, where is it? It's very small.
Chris, they're registered with the state, but they don't have their IRS determination letter yet. They've applied for it.
But we're
Okay.
using
As I understand it,
That's community.
But they're using Wasatch Community Foundation as their sponsor,
Yes,
fiscal sponsor, is that what it is?
oh, they're
Yeah,
actually
I think that's fine.
under, but we're not under it yet.
And there is language in here under the paragraph about access at the bottom of page 1 that does state, tenant acknowledges and agrees it will not have access to any of the district's indoor facilities and it will not interfere with district's operations. There are time limitations as to the right of access. Those can be modified between subsequent discussions between the organization and the district.
Board thoughts?
I have 2 questions.
Yes, please.
Where are you getting your water?
Is this the land that's,
Water,
is it, what's,
the fire department has their irrigation water there.
So you'll be accessing the fire department's irrigation?
Yes,
Okay, and parking, is there a limit because of, you know, it's a-
there's lots of parking
Good size
available
lot.
there.
yeah,
Well, we do have, I'll be honest with you, Jackie, it's limited parking. But like I discussed with you on the phone, you can't park in front of the bays and we need to limit access for fire trucks to go in and out. So it's
Well,
limited,
I was talking more on the street.
but there is the county, what's that called? It's the right of way there that might be able to be fine.
And I think we'll have a lot of people come on their four-wheelers and stuff, and you can park those like on other people's cars, can't you?
Chris, you had a question? You asked where it was?
yeah, I was just, I mean, I think I can envision it. There is a kind of a pretty big triangle there. I want to say it's on the south side of the fire station, but I might be just the opposite. But is the soil pretty good there? You know that this will work?
It looks good. We have had a look at it. I am a city slicker, but the people that I follow in this group are generational farmers and they think it's real good. And we will add things once we till the earth if we need to add things, and completely organic. We don't use herbicides. We have used herbicides that are completely organic on some of our fields if we have had to.
So a follow-up question of the water. So is that ditch water irrigation?
Pressurized.
It is pressurized. Is it meters?
Not currently, we just pay a flat.
Okay, so the district won't incur additional costs for the additional use?
and access is not a problem. Is there access close to the triangle? Do you have to go across the station or?
It's behind the station. Well, it's in that corner and we'll run the pipe behind the station to the corner.
The additional parking could be potentially that people could use it up across the road, the historic Union Pacific Trailway trailhead. Oh, yeah, right there. They could
It's
park
right
there
here.
too.
Right in that corner. I think the lawnmowers run over it, so we'll have to fix the water. And then
Close
we'll
that triangle,
bring it
then
and we'll bring a hose here and then we'll have to move it once, maybe.
Louise, what do you think?
It's here.
It's wonderful, I drive by that all the time, yeah, good potatoes.
You catch now.
Yes.
A sign.
John? You like the potatoes?
I'm kind of curious what the variety is.
You know, Patch, we just did in Clarkston, we had 4 different varieties and they're mixed in. And so people are just gonna get what they get when they dig it out. And the families have really enjoyed it. We've gotten a lot of support in Heber. And that's part of what we want to do is do a great job so that we have other land available to us. That doesn't mean we wouldn't want to do something here because this is our visual. This is the drawing center and it's also frankly the fire station who is community oriented.
So happy to be somebody passionate about potatoes. That's just what it is.
I love it.
It's
I think
consistent with
potatoes.
the culture of North Side, and not necessarily potatoes, but with the ag nature of the community. And a way of bringing people together with our firefighters and fire department.
Well, we'd like the firefighters to serve workers. They want, they don't have to, we'll have plenty of people.
With the caveat, if an emergency comes in, we can be
Oh,
ready.
absolutely. And really, there's only a couple of times when we would have lots of cars, and that would be the 3 harvest days, which is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the harvest feast at the fire station.
Big part. Right,
It's pretty big, too.
it's huge, it's right.
And we can just close the road.
I will, be happy to entertain a motion.
Roger, before we do that, one last question.
Yes.
Are you planning on any signage saying that the Heber Valley Self-Reliance Group and supported by North Summit Fire District, or
Yes.
your thoughts there?
We have several sponsors and certainly the fire district is the primary one, and we will put a banner out. Well, we'll probably just put it at the point of the corner there. We're not gonna be able to plant right there, so we'll create a fence or something to put it there, and then we will change it as it gets closer to advertise the feast, the harvest feast, as well as the harvest. And we will, I'm not doing I might do my magazine in the fall, and we send that out in our community, and we certainly would thank the sponsors here, but we're at the feast. About 30 minutes into it, the majority of the people there, we will honor our sponsors. And we're just real excited. We've had lots of people already express an interest in it, and I used to work for Senator Hatch. I used to do events for the governor. Don't hold any of that against me, but you know, I can handle my part of that. And you know, I am a city slicker, but I have experts that are telling me what to do. And I can follow the instructions real well when I choose to.
Any other board questions?
Yeah, can the chief approve the sign before you print it and put it out? Okay.
Sure.
There are no more comments or questions. I will entertain a motion for so inclined. A motion to approve the.
I'll do it. I make a motion to approve the license and site use agreement with Heber Valley Supplements.
I'll second.
Motion made by John, seconded by Louise. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Potatoes are coming to Wancham.
Absolutely.
Super excited.
Thank you. And can you guys sign that before I go? Because we have a lot of work to do.
She don't have to close.
Well, I have a folder. I don't have a pen.
Oh, I have.
I'm filling it. Okay.
Requirements.
Well,
I love those potatoes. They're so fun to uncover. I'm gonna do it.
I know. And we would, we don't have to do anything with the field. The winter crop that re-nourishes them.
I think.
We can certainly harvest, we just pound back in next year, but we'll have that done by the end of the, I don't know. why we would do it.
So we'll have one in.
You normally do beans?
Well, we always do potatoes first. We have a couple fields that we're doing primarily beans, and we do some corn and some squash. And I do think that,
Corn's good.
yeah.
What do you need for eating?
No, corn would be really good for eating.
So you will all be invited to the Harvest Feast, and we are asking people, not the sponsors, everyone to bring their favorite potato dish. And you cannot bring potato chips.
Oh,
Bring them.
That's my favorite.
So I know I need to get out of the way, and I thank you very much, and
That's me.
I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
It's actually nothing but hers, Jack.
Well-
That's what I thought, right?
It's true. Legal name is Susan.
Okay, I like Jackie.
I would like to meet with whoever you'd like me to regarding, the Harvest Feast, the date that you guys have in mind, because I know you guys have a date, that kind of thing, so we could, think about it in advance rather than the last minute. I do apologize for the last minute push.
No, thank you, Jack.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good job.
Since you presented.
Intro.
We're going to. Is that okay? Can I move things around? I think I have the.
You have the discretion as chair. You just have to publicly state, right, that you're taking items out of order and what item.
So for clarity, we did take the last item out of order, and the chief has requested that we again move out of order to discuss item 9 CD, which is the donation of truck 21 to the Davis Technical College Fire Academy. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay.
On your package, this page 27, 28, 29. And let's just test this audio really quick. Chief Shelley, can you try speaking for us and see if we can hear you?
Test, test.
Oh, there we go. Thanks for coming. Let me just briefly introduce you really quick. Chief Shelley is the fire chief of Riverdale Fire and fire department down in kind of the Ogden area. And he has been in the industry for, I don't know how long, forever, well before me. I have always looked up to Chief Shelley for a lot of reasons, but one of these projects that he'll introduce is really amazing. It's a training facility that they're doing down in the Freeport Center. So I will kick it off to him.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, and it's an honor to talk with the board here. What Davis Tech has done, kind of a little background, we've been running a fire academy since 2007. The academy that will be coming up in August will be our 36th fire academy. And currently, the last 4 fire academies, we've had over 60 applicants per class for 24 positions. So to accommodate some of that, we've decided that it's best that we also look at building an interior training facility. Currently, we're using under an MOU with Layton City Fire Department to use their training tower and their training site. Sometimes that gives us a little problems in the winter because we have a hard time doing some of the outdoor skills. So this indoor training facility will cover approximately 15 to 20,000 square feet. It'll have a commercial building, a retail area, a 1,600 square foot single family dwelling with bedrooms, full kitchen, bathroom, family room area, drop floors for survival training. And then we'll also have some roofs in there for the firefighters to learn how to cut roofs. So it's going to be a really great facility for our fire academies. And we also open it up to the fire departments so they can bring people in and train there as well. And one of the parts to this that has become a big focal point of mine is to have a fire truck parked in the area. So it's going to look like a little city inside. And that fire truck will be one of the main focal points of this training center. And we'll end up using that fire truck for storage of all the equipment, hose, everything the firefighters will use. So not only will it be more of a stationary unit, we won't pump with it. We don't have to drive with it, obviously. But we will be able to do all their skills coming off of it and give them that realism.
Thoughts?
Well, my friends are saying, and it sounds like a good thing to do or something that you can't use. It really has no monetary value left.
Is there any monetary value?
I think there might be, and I think from my perspective, our first, Chief, I do appreciate what you guys do, but I think our first order of business ought to be to take care of the financial aspects of the organization. So we had planned to sell it anyway, and what I would recommend we do is put a relatively higher reserve price on it. If it doesn't sell, we set it down. That would be my recommendation. That helps us replenish our capital pool. And
Does it
Do we have an idea of what?
Yeah, so we just dropped 5,500 roughly into it to get it to drive, if you guys remember, just a recap.
so we could sell it.
Yeah, so we could sell, so it was drivable. Pump's not working, but the aerial is working and the motor is working now, so it drives.
Wasn't
This is a
Yes,
ladder.
drop.
there a larger amount? Make it.
And I love where it says reliability here.
Yes, so to John's point, there was a lot more that we were gonna have to put into it if we didn't sell, but then the motor blew up, basically the pump blew up.
So it's functional except it doesn't pump water.
Correct. And the ladder, just so we're clear, because Chief Shawley did ask this previously, we kind of clarified it through text message, but the ladder is not certified, meaning it hasn't been ladder tested. I don't know what Chief Shawley's intent is with that, but I would imagine it probably stayed bedded, meaning that it's down. And that they would just pull hose and different things off of it, but other than that, if I were to shoot from the hip, max we've sold off almost half the fleet in the last 2 years, it feels like. And all we're getting, except for the water tender, which was valuable to a contractor, is like 5,000 to 10,000 maybe. So I think it's a great option. I think it would only take us, Tyler, 2 weeks, or we can ever put how long on
Do it for as long as you want.
We can do it for
Policy.
whatever his time frame is, 1 week, 2 weeks, we don't wanna hold anything up
No.
per se.
Yeah.
But we can accommodate, I think that.
So what were you thinking before this? What were you thinking the reserve might be on this? Were you gonna think 5?
I was just thinking, just cover that 5 to get it
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I would recommend bumping it maybe to 7. That way, if it sells and we get more than 7, we've recouped if we know this before we repaired the truck, it would be a whole different issue. Because we're gonna throw it down there, stuck it in, he doesn't want the run, right? But I would, I think putting it at 7, and since it's a ladder truck, there may be a contractor or window washer or, someone who's shooting film who might wanna have a fire truck like that around. And for 10 grand, that's it.
Well, and if I may just for a second also add to that a little bit, I like everything that's being said. I do wanna kind of put a little bit of heat on Chief Shawley, and there's a reason for this. I think he's being modest in the fact that they pumped out a lot of recruits and a lot of people that we potentially would take. And over the years, in the last 2.5 years that I've been here, we've used some of them. They've come out of the academy to us. This is kind of an out of the box thinking for maybe a recruiting or a marketing for North Summit, because if Chief Shawley would allow us to put our stickers, our new sticker back up on there that you guys have approved of seeing. All those things, maybe they'll see that sticker and they'll be like, hey, maybe we should call North Summit for a part-time or full-time
Just-
job. Yes.
Just to add to that, Chief, one of the things we will do with any of our sponsors or any of our donors, we definitely do a lot of advertising of that donor or sponsor who gave us any equipment or supported us financially. And those stickers will stay on the truck. We talked about even wrapping the truck. And so it looks like a Davis Tech fire truck, but whoever the donor was of that truck would have all their stickers all over it.
Mr. Chair,
The
Yeah,
part is,
Chris.
oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna sign off here and come back. I need to go in here right now.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Okay, thanks. I'll be back.
Okay,
What I was gonna say is, so I do think it's a great marketing / recruiting tool. And we get kind of the best of both worlds. If it doesn't sell or hit the reserve in like a week or 2, whatever we determine that to be, then we just simply donate it. So it'd be a good thing. We can drive it down to the Freeport Center. And Chief Shawley, I think you said it has to be on the bed of a truck because that warehouse it doesn't have a ramp, correct?
Correct. It's basically a loading dock that's going to bring that truck into there. So it'll be on a flatbed. And for a timeline for us, we're not in a rush because our construction probably won't even start until about next month. And it's going to take us 3 or 4 months to build this. So we're not in a rush to go this way. So if that's a decision you guys want to go with, we're more than happy to wait on anything.
So, and then Chief, also, I don't know if you're aware of what's going on in the district. We're not super wealthy. We definitely want to count our pennies and try to do the best we can with our fiscal responsibilities. But would the cost be on the DATC to be able to get it down there? And if you have to get the flatbed, all that stuff, or a tow or whatever it takes?
Yeah, I think all that can easily be worked out. I don't see why, if you guys are giving us a donated truck, that we can't make the transportation occur. Now, even on my end, I have to wait until your guys' decision in a couple areas. Is one, I've also still got to get final approval on my end. This is kind of a preliminary thing. We're early into it. So depending on your decision will kind of guide me back to Davis Tech and see where they want to go with it. But right now I've already done some of that with my supervisors there and they're pretty excited about it. I don't think that will be an issue whatsoever, but
if Davis Tech has $5,000 laying around, we could probably arrange for a flatbed.
well, I'm not saying that we're not against buying it either. I have a very, very tight budget. This project started 2 years ago and we're keeping the same money within the budget that we had. So as you all know, costs have gone up. Lumber went up dramatically since we had our bidding and different things. And we're putting a lot of equipment in there. We're spending about $70,000 on a fill station for our breathing apparatus. So it's not off the table by any means. If you guys get there and you can't sell it and you really need to sell it, then we'll go back to the drawing board and we'll see what we can do on our end. But if you'd like to do a donation, we also, love donations and we publicize our donors, and you'll get a fantastic letter from my president.
I appreciate that, chief, and we might even have a couple of potatoes for you.
Well, if I come up and help 4 times, it sounds like I get it free.
Wow.
That might be worth it.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know if we're voting on this. I think you guys are just looking for guidance at this point.
Yeah, I think we just need to have you guys kind of tentatively.
We need to
approve
vote
that.
to-
We already surplused it.
To surplus this.
It's already surplus.
I agree with that. Put a high price on it. It's not a crazy price, but let's see, every dollar that we get into this fire department is another dollar into the fire department. That's a good thing. Still trying to build a reserve. So fortunately, things count. So let's see if we can do that. If nobody is interested in this truck, then I think somebody put it to great use.
And firefighters specifically, like if we can donate it back to the fire industry of service, I.
Totally agree. Preaching to the firefighter's son, so
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
And just so you guys know too, one of the things we're looking at with this facility, we're gonna start looking at a very short time period for a fire academy. Currently our fire academy takes us about 5 months, a little over, to get our students through it. Roughly 16 to 17 weeks. We're looking at cutting that to 12 weeks and trying to utilize the fire departments to bring in people that they think are good fits for their department, that need to get the certifications. We can put them in a daytime program and really get them through in a lot shorter time period.
Chief, I have to tell you, given the nature of generally the fire industry these days, in terms of trying to get people interested in serving and coming to work, I totally support that. I mean, if you can train them well in less time and get them out on the street, that's awesome. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. We will be back in touch with you shortly.
Thank you for having me. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, chief.
Next. Why don't we just stay on that item and finish it up, and then we'll go back up to the top if that's okay. Since we took it out of the surplus to it, yeah. We have a 2022 F-150, really, already?
We're trying to rotate those every 2 years. And so, yeah, it's already, that was the first truck that you guys bought in 2022.
Look at the miles.
Oh, is it not in the packet?
Probably.
No, I forgot to look at
I
it.
think it's around audio control. Thank you.
It was like 2026-ish. Yeah.
26.
And just as a reminder and kind of for the public also, we're trying to rotate these. We're trying to be very cost effective and trying to minimize the loss that we take. So every 2 years, we're trying to cycle those the best we can. So. And keep the life.
Does that work? I mean, Ari, you can tell me, the car was, when you drive off, when you're driving the one off the line, the depreciation is massive initially.
I haven't seen the numbers on this yet, but we buy them at a substantial discount because we get them on contract. So what typically happens is there's a point where they do depreciate. And usually it's between 2 and 3 years. And a lot of fire districts do it in 3 years, where they can basically sell the truck almost for what they paid for it, close to it. So I don't,
If not make a little money.
yeah, sometimes they make a little money when they turn. So that's typically what fire districts do when they are in good shape. Yeah, money. So,
Okay.
We've been having some other places with that kind of concept has worked really well.
so what did we pay for this?
48 roughly for the cost, but then we had to add light sirens and on radio. So,
Which you will take off of
which we will remove before we sell.
and repurpose.
And repurpose, correct.
We had passed 46,500. So they typically go from 39 to 42, 43,000, even if you get close to that, you use virtually.
Roger, do you know what the average for the other county vehicles is, a 3-year cycle, 2-year cycle, any idea? Okay, that's okay, just curious.
Countywide,
Countywide
for lights.
I know it's a lot longer than 2 or 3.
I don't know if
think it's a little too long.
I think they do it on
Yeah,
miles, so they.
It's over you, that's your miles rather than each.
I mean, it depends, if you've got a giant truck. Some of the bigger
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm talking about pickup similar to
Yeah,
this.
like-
I can try.
sale. They tend to be pretty high miles.
Those are-
Nice to service.
The ones you guys are selling don't work.
Yeah, they're rough.
They're
I was looking at
driven to the
the
ground.
link that they send out, and I was like,
Wow.
But they're also gonna sell for 20.
right, a lot cheaper. I think we'll probably get close to that 48 marker, just four-wheel drive.
I guess I'm wondering from my financial card guy over here. Given the status of our treasury, does that kind of cycling make sense, or do we want to squeeze it a bit more out?
My personal opinion would be 3 years, but then we start, biting into, losing that money if we're close to break even. The issue is we just got those other smaller trucks.
The
So
Colorados.
you're gonna come back and ask to replace this truck with another full-size F-150.
Yeah, because what we determined, and that'll be, what, a year and a half, 2 years away to do that
Because that's gonna be, F-150 is gonna be
versus a Colorado.
$50,000.
Well, the F-150s, like we said, we bought it at the time for 48, whatever the current prices are that the state's put now. we get the same
I've
contract.
looked recently.
Can we put this off one meeting, come back with what it would cost to replace it?
Let's just come up with
Let's find out exactly when we bought it, find out exactly how many miles, I'll run some numbers, we'll do a little analysis and we'll come back.
Happy to do it, yep.
Okay, we're back on that comment, chief.
Well, yeah, we're just not in a rush necessarily, so I think we're okay.
In the context of you going through things with Flexible, it might be worth seeing if they have some sort of fleet management policy
Yeah,
that
it's a
they
good
could
idea.
put together. I looked at the county's fleet policy, and the short answer is there's no hard and fast deadline. There's a fleet committee that meets and they look at each department's vehicle inventory. They look at mileage, maintenance requirements, like what's coming up. Strategic priorities, utilization requirements, fuel options, alternative fuel options, intended use, what the trade-in value is. And then after completing their inventory, they will work on a replacement schedule for that department. And then each year they might recommend within each department, there be no replacements, one replacement. So it's very ad hoc.
How do you feel, I mean, when we're talking about light trucks, F-150s are never gonna be much more expensive, but I assume these are all work truck class, they're not
Yeah,
Lariats, they're not Platinums.
No, they're nothing fancy.
So if these are the work trucks, it's a little bit, it's still pricey, the difference between a Colorado or a Ranger and the Ranger's gonna be higher
They
too.
don't like the Colorado, they're too small.
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff we're using for is like people movers and things like that, and then with the movers and the Colorados, what we've learned are just tiny, it can't even fit literally me in the back seat of the Colorado.
You should be driving it cheap.
Well, I know, but sometimes I hit a back seat.
I drive a Colorado, I
I know.
put 4 people in my Colorado, somebody needs to go on a diet.
I don't see my 6, 7 firefighter, the firefighter is
6,
good.
7 firefighters gonna have a stuff, put him in the front,
Fits in that
he
150,
gets shotgun.
but we also have to outfit him with a tent usually, so he's pretty big. But anyway,
So, let's take a look, and do we want to look at alternative fuel vehicles, because are we able to save on the fuel costs for what's being driven and the maintenance costs, because you're not paying for tune-ups, you don't have a lot of the other parts that.
Let me get all the light trucks. I'll do an inventory. I'll get the mileage. I'll do an analysis that includes a lot of what Brian's talking about, that by Steve. And then I'll compare the depreciation versus how many miles I can put in and run it through and see what it works. I'll present all that.
None of the midsize, I think, are,
Then I go home about it.
I don't think they're electric,
No.
or even
You know,
hybrids.
is that lightning considered a
The lighting is all electric and it's a full size.
full size?
And the hybrids are, it's pricey. That's 90,000.
Right.
Oh,
So, but the, there are hybrids out there, and Ford's got a hybrid,
And Chevy's gonna have one.
both classes, and the question is, some of the reviews on hybrids are, but can we save money on the fuel costs, especially when we've got to cheap driving longer distances, does it make some sense?
So I'll do mileage, because you've been using this one, right?
Well, no, it had been our rescue for the last year roughly, so the first year it is.
So I can do the mileage on it, I can run the estimates down, we've had a lot of that, right?
And we're not opposed to 3 years, I think that's totally reasonable.
That's usually, I think
Somewhere
that's,
between 2 or 3, I think is a good fleet
There's
size.
no oil costs, there's no filter costs, there's none of that kind of stuff, and I just don't know.
I've got all the numbers for maintenance going forward, I can do an estimate on that, and then I'll have fuel costs. So I'll be able to extrapolate that. So
If you need any help, we don't have burden you, but we'll help with whatever you.
yeah, if you give me just the basic stuff, I'll do it, and then run it back, test you, or I'll, if you don't mind me working with you.
That's really on the purchase side, the one time. Maybe so.
Yeah,
I can really squeeze more than 3 years out of a higher.
and then once I do that template, I can give it back to you guys.
We can use it forever. That'd be great. Thank you.
And the county's trying to become more fuel efficient. So we should have a discussion.
Okay, perfect. Thank you guys.
Next up, speeding right. Let's go back up to you. Tell us what's going on. Work section, Chief's report. Buildings, apparatus, training.
Yep, let's start with buildings. So buildings, this week we have the carpet guy finishing the boardroom, the old boardroom, or it's gonna be a new boardroom. Finally, because of all the revamps, the carpet was bad, we just figured we'd bring the carpet too. So we're hoping by next month, our board meetings can be held back at the fire station.
And will we have this kind of hook up?
We're trying our best to get there by the goal of next month. We have a TV on a stand, which will work. We just got to figure out our audio and how to turn on down one of the radios in the ceiling for our paging system. If that can't work out, we'll stay here. But
It's
you don't
kind
have
of
to
charming to have a call come in on the radio.
It's really loud though, and I don't know if the public would like it, but we're gonna do our best to get there by next month. But yeah, carpet's getting done this from all the mold activity, that's all mitigated, it's taken care of, repaired. We did have a garage door spring, remember, we talked about this in 2022, and some of you weren't here then. But it's roughly about $10,000 to $12,000 per garage door. Those garage doors are 40-something years old, almost 50 years old, as old as the fire stations. And so they're gonna start going down. So this next budget cycle, we're gonna allocate some money, hopefully to some garage doors and slowly start changing them out. But basically, this time was just a spring that cracked, so we're fixing that right now.
And the company that services the garage doors doesn't want to repair them. So it's still-
Well, and they can't find parts. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, there's just no parts for these old machines and stuff anymore, so. But like springs and bracing and stuff, they can still find. It's just a motor part, the garage door open.
So Steve, you want to hear from the early pain. We then came into this, we did an assessment of equipment, apparatus, and facilities. It was a mess. They were just falling apart. Jennifer being one of them, they had like the roof.
Missing letters, for example, on the front of the building. We'll get to that.
Well, and the roof.
And the roof,
So it's been, finding the means of doing the fixes, money for doing the fixes is one of the biggest challenges of it. As we continue.
But I think with these doors, we can limp them along at least the rest of this year. And I think this year might be kind of tight, but I think we're gonna be good. Next year will be better because we fixed most of the apparatus, if not all of them now. One's coming back on Monday. But we'll have hopefully those reserves that we can actually spend on building instead of apparatus. So we're just kind of trading up for instead of paying for building stuff, we're paying for apparatus or vice versa.
I checked to replace one of my doors.
Actually, not pricey.
They're at $7,000 for just a regular home garage.
Well, with the commercial doors, though, the doors are manufactured by a different company than who manufactures the motors.
I believe so.
Those are separate, so that if the motors go out and we can recondition the doors, I know it's best to replace it all.
No, I concur.
Then we should just put in new
Is
motors.
it a motor problem? or
It's
is it
the
more-
motor problem that has no replacements. It's not a door issue. This time specifically to this one, it was just a spring that broke and
Those on the door.
those have like life cycles, uses. And obviously with fire trucks going in and out or ambulances going in and out, that door is the busiest door. That's the spring that broke. But the motor, we're just trying to limp along, be really gentle too. And we're hoping we can start at least maybe, hey, next year we can replace one or two, but those garage door openers, so motors, about $10,000 to $12,000. That we can get different quotes, but that was a quote from White.
And then, yeah, that's the motor you want. And then those commercial motors, if you do replace a door, the motor stays. They're mutually exclusive on big commercial. Now, what we want to do with those Ogden
I concur, but that's, I don't know if we'll be able to.
doors.
afford those.
Ogden, they press a button, throw it.
So you lose no time.
Oh, yeah, it's up in
We
like
should take you on a tour.
3 seconds. It was the most, it was the
Amazing.
weirdest thing. It's like something on a Star Wars.
What did they do?
It's pretty
Is it a motor?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it
Yeah.
must be some sort of springed motor thing. If they come down slow,
Ooh,
but
yeah.
they go up fast.
So you just,
Can't imagine that doesn't do long-term harm.
It's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
you know, a lot of stations will do doors that kind of fold out too to help save some time too. They can start pulling out already. So you're waiting for that door to go up slowly. So
Response time, sorry.
that was okay. So that's building kind of update. Those are the only two things we have going on currently. Apparatus, engine 22, like I said, we'll be back Monday. We're excited. That's our final engine coming back from Sidus Martin. They say it's looking really good. They're just keeping it over the weekend to make sure there's no leaks, etc. But they've done their job. We talked about Chief Shawley possibly donating that to DTC, so that one's done. I'm gonna move to training next. In the month of May, we did 218 hours of training. We also held, this was a really cool event. Nick's been doing, or Chief Jarvis has been doing this every year since he's been here. He's been working with Dr. Smith, our medical control doctor, over from Park City side Medical Center. And he's been doing an EMS skills day where we invite everybody all over South Summit, Park City, Wasatch, anybody who wants to come, including Morgan, who we just invited to our Wasatch Back Fire Chiefs group. And they are participating now also. But that was really successful. We had a really good turnout. And I think the doctors and nurses who taught were awesome. We taught. One of the stations, actually North Summit football was there, and they had a couple coaches, and I can't remember their titles exactly. But they came and they taught us how to manage, for example, the airway with a helmet and the pad, and how to remove those, and the type of helmets that they have. They have special tools that those coaches carry to unlock the face piece. That was really fun. And then we talked about pregnancy, I think airways, and to be honest, there's 4 or 5 stations, so that went really well. And that was held at the Legis Center because that's where we had enough space because our building was getting crowded. And the last thing besides training is personnel. We just hired a full-time paramedic. His name is paramedic Tyler Vickery. He comes from Unified, approximately 15 years experience. He's bringing a lot of really good experience to us. We're excited about that. He started June 3rd, so he's, I think, only worked about 2 go-arounds. What we call a go-around is 2 shifts, so 2 48s, so 96 hours total, I think, roughly, is what he's worked already. And he's had a busy couple goes. He had a rescue out of Echo, the water, he had car wrecks.
The paddle boarder that
I
almost.
think he's bad luck is what I think he is, but yes, those are the paddle boarders you probably heard about. So, they had a successful rescue of 3 individuals. We had a bystander that was a nurse that was very helpful too. Everything actually was very successful in that rescue, so we were excited. The only other thing, I think I told you about this last time, but to reiterate, we were able to get the SHSP grant, convinced that the county needs to fill a hole. So that money is gonna be roughly about $60,000 towards swift water and rescue equipment, because, for example, in this, we've never had that. Really. Not good enough equipment, because and the whole area just doesn't have it, but with this money, we'll be able to get ropes and vests and throw bags and all kinds of stuff that we need to perform, because, for example, the other day, when they came out of the water, there was a pretty steep embankment that they had to get an unconscious patient up and over. And didn't have a Stokes basket, didn't have the right equipment. We had to put them on a tube and then drag the tube over the rocks. We got lucky and never popped. I mean, there was some sketchiness going on, but they did the best with what they had. They did a fantastic job and made a good save, so. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So that's personnel, so we're excited for paramedic Tyler Vickery.
Let's talk for a second about certifications and training. Because the question recently was about certifications. Walk us through the process. What are you looking for, and how do you manage certifications, bringing people up through the ranks? And how do you make sure people are operating within their certifications?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's start really quick by prefacing all of this with the current economy we're in for personnel. I think as everybody knows with PD and fire department, just public service in general, it's pretty hard. We're lacking in that. And that's why I'm pretty excited about the DETC, right? Because that could be a good out of the box thinking, a tool for recruiting. But generally we'll hire somebody. The minimum certificates we try and look for. In the past, when there was a lot of people where your firefighter 1, firefighter 2, hazmat awareness, hazmat operations, and AEMT, which is advanced. That's what it's called now. And that's optimal. However, because we are hurting for recruitment and everything currently, and everybody's hiring part-timers and they're not getting the applicants. I think like currently we have ours indefinitely open and we've only received currently 3 that we're gonna be interviewing coming up. And then some of those won't have, for example, fire 1, fire 2, or one of those certificates, right? Or even AMT. But are we willing to accept them and then train them to the next step? Because in my opinion, and it goes along with what you guys saw in your packets today, our mission statement and our philosophy. If we can train those guys, we need to treat them really good so they don't go somewhere else. They don't want to go to a different agency. They're happy where they're at. So the next step would be, just like Chief Shawley said, to get them in an academy. And I love this concept that the DATC is doing now. If they can pump them out, and sorry for my language, but pump them out in 12 weeks instead of 21 weeks, that's a lot quicker we can get them on the floor. Now we've talked about working with the high school to get recruits. So we have kind of 2 recruit cadets, we'll call them right now. They're not fully certified per se, but they're limited, like you said, they're in the rotation. So one of them just got an EMT basic. He's not allowed to perform any hands-on until he had basic, but now he can only perform according to the state to the level of a basic EMT. So it kind of goes in the EMS world, well, EMR, basic EMT, advanced, paramedic, and then so forth, like NICS and NP, right? And so he started off as an EMR. We were able to get him just past his basic. The next step is AMT, and he's also just finished his wildland certificates. And so we kind of work on it as we go, and we do that all in-house at no cost. Morgan's been fantastic recently, also last year, or was it this year?
Last year.
Oh, it was last year, yeah. Last summer, we sent 3 people through a fire academy at Morgan where they teach fire 1, fire 2 awareness and operations. And they were able to, like, we got a new firefighter out of it, fully certified, who's also a paramedic, who had been with the district for, I don't know, a long time, 4, 5, 6 years, even prior to me, but now he's fully certified. So that's the benefit of trying to work with what we have and progress them, if that makes sense. So he's kind of like the ideal situation.
And who's monitoring to make sure people are not operating above certificate?
We do, and along with us, we always get constantly audited by the state. So there was a question, for example, well, if you're a basic and you're running an AMT ambulance, can you drive an ambulance? Well, we got a letter certified by the state, the person who's over the auditing, to give us an email, a letter saying that we're okay doing and operating that way. They can't obviously be in the back because an AMT has to be providing that level of care, but they can drive an ambulance. So I want to make that very clear to everybody, even listening.
And are we able to respond to most calls with EMT or both?
Yeah, so technically, depending on the response code, so Alpha to Echo, Alpha Bravos, we usually just send an AMT trying to save our paramedics for that critical call if it comes out. Then Charlie Delta's Echoes, obviously they get an ambulance, which is an AMT ambulance and a paramedic rescue. Which, to be honest with you, we're now finding that there's a lot of sick people in this area. We're actually transporting more. Well, I think the theory behind it, what we're kind of finding is they hold off until they're really sick.
Yeah.
They are very, they take care of themselves as long as they possibly can before they dial 911. So when they get there, they're very sick, and we have actually had an increase in paramedic transports compared to AMT transports. So I think people are just trying to, handle themselves up here. They're used to not having a service available. Now that they're seeing it, I think they're realizing we're here to stay, we're here to help and be a part of the community. It's actually working out really well. So we have gotten, I can't remember the exact number, I don't have that, I can call our billing company, but it's higher than it has been in years past with Park City having managed us.
Any other questions from the board?
That's helpful, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's talk operations.
Policies?
Calls?
Oh, calls, thanks for reminding me. Back to the very beginning.
Back to your report.
So monthly calls, if you go back to the month of May, we did see an increase from 38 calls to 49. I think this is gonna be kind of a steady increase. I don't know per se. I think last year we ran 517 calls. We'll probably see a little bit more than that. And in my experience over the years coming from an agency, we started out with 300 calls and then got up to about 1,500 or 2,000. It's always as populations grow, it always constantly just kind of increases per year.
Is our population growing?
I feel like it's not necessarily growing, but we're at the beginning stages and it will be because of housing. So
Where's
I didn't
Holly?
see it.
They got anything vertical yet?
they do. Yeah, well, Holly has a lot vertical. They got a lot of construction going on. I actually went up there the other day. They have the Manor up, which is beautiful. It's their golf teaching area. And they got a kind of a putting course in now, and then they've already laid a lot of asphalt. Their main road just got asphalted. It's really pretty too. They're moving along.
I've recently heard some chatter in Park City about one. So.
It's a big deal.
Let's talk about it.
So it's gonna be a big deal, and I'll tell you what, they're doing it right, they're really working with us hard. We have a couple firefighters that they've hired on their part-time, on days off, and they wanna go work security. They're doing great and they're working with us really well, we're excited about them, but. Anyway, but yeah, our call volume in May has gone up, I kind of tended, and obviously we're going into our busy season rather. Calls by area rather, Colville stays steady at our kind of number one area. And then obviously Park City, because now we're helping Park City on transfers when they get busy. And they're going into their slow season in the summer. So we pick up, but during the winter, that's where we saw the increase January, February, March, just the Park City calls were transferred.
We get paid for this.
And we get paid really well for this. Correct. So if they need help,
Those are Park City insurance calls. We've got insurance.
yeah, and they're coming from the hospital going down to the U or whatever other interfacility transfers.
And we're able to manage coverage here also.
Yeah, so far it's been really good. And we'll always, and my captains know this too, we will always leave one ambulance available at all times, still cover the rest of the district. If one gets transport, so with the rescue will not. And to be candid with you, Park City already has, if you may remember, they are really big on their critical care unit. Which they will go with our ambulance down to, let's say, the U if it does have a paramedic interfacility transfer needed. So we just kind of work together.
What happened? What's going on in Hannaford? It exploded.
Yeah, and to be candid, and maybe Steve can allude to this a little bit more, but I personally, I think they're gonna explode even more once that moratorium, I think it's coming off this year.
October,
October.
maybe this fall.
I think Hennifer is gonna be kind of the talk of the area, and I think a lot of homes are gonna be coming, we'll see a lot of building permits, I bet, coming in, is my guess.
That's the plan, that's the expectation.
Yeah, which I think is good for the area, I think the community may not want that necessarily, but it's not for us to determine one way or another, we're just the fire department, we just respond on calls, but. Yeah, maybe tell us a little bit about that removal of moratorium.
So again, it was voted this past month to extend another 6 months with the option to take it off sooner. But we're still working through issues with secondary water, getting that installed and whatnot. So we're probably we don't anticipate that coming on the line until next spring at this point. So a lot of the infrastructure is in the ground, the pipes laid, but getting the pipe to the actual distribution is where we're working on now. Having to put in the dams and the reservoirs and the pumping stations, and whatnot, that's kind of the next piece for us.
I sit on the cog with Mayor Richards.
Yeah.
And
So
every time we get the update, he's still moving that sucker forward, trying to get it all the way to the top of the mountain, so.
been a lot of challenges and hurdles and delays, but we're making progress slowly.
Yeah, he's kept a good humor in that.
Yeah, he's been really good about it, but he's worked on it for a lot of years. But anyway, so with that growth in Hennifer, if we were to look at kind of what's going on in Colville, Wanship, and Waitsville rather, then we're seeing a lot of permits coming in, a lot of homes and different things that we're starting to approve, so. We see every single one of those permits that comes across, whether it's unincorporated or one of the two municipalities, and we have to sign off on each one of those. I think in the past, for a long time, there was no communication because it was volunteer and they were doing the best what they could, but there wasn't a good process or system with the county and or each city. We've got it really good with the county now. I think we've figured that part out really well. Now we gotta figure it out and maybe make a couple tweaks to the Colville one, and we really gotta start with it. Because once that goes in, I can imagine a few more people are coming to town. So anyway, we eventually, and this is totally in the future, we'd like to get to some point where if we get that third ambulance at the end of this year, we'd like to try and staff that station. We just don't know if we can fiscally do it yet, or we don't have a projection yet of when we could because of the finance situation. So we'll work on that though, for sure. It's always on our mind.
But you guys are there from what time to what?
Yeah, so we're usually there, and I don't wanna say time exactly because I could be at a meeting in Salt Lake or Davis or Weaver or wherever, like Wasatch, we went in the morning to a meeting at Wasatch the other day. But we try to be in the office Monday through Thursday for sure, and then Friday, Tyler's in the office and we work from most days, just doing building reviews and plan reviews and things like that, right? So. But yeah, so Monday through Thursday, and then like tomorrow I'll be working, so, you know, every once in a while on Fridays, weekends, that station is not stood up.
Right.
But it is probably stood up more than it has been in the past at least. So,
What's still on?
oh, stood up just means that there's somebody there staffing the station.
They can respond,
They
but
can-
Tyler can't respond by himself.
He can as an initial first responder only, I believe, is that correct? Remind me, it's not his job title, but he can't do hands-on, you know, this certification level. But he can assess the situation, make sure the correct resources are
Via
coming,
radio.
Yeah. and control that situation.
Anything else critical for us to know?
No, that's about it. That's all I have for today. It's pretty simple.
So we're at the point in our agenda where we'll open the floor for public input. So Tyler, do we have anybody that's looking to be on?
Sounds like anybody's, yeah.
iPhone 3.
Once. I'm sorry, Ben, or Nick, you got nothing to say?
I don't think he has.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, we gotta excuse him. He's at his daughter's Bentley's champion softball game tournament. So he had to make that. I don't blame him. Like, he had to be.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close it. Seeing nobody, I'm gonna close public input. Moving on. Consent agenda, accounts payable and minutes of March 14 and 9. Does anybody have any concerns about either?
I do want to shout out a big thank you for having the account number and description available and on this report. Thank you for reformatting this. Yeah, so
Very good.
yeah, really nice.
Yeah, I looked at that and I thought, what's different? Oh, wow.
Well, it was scrunched up, it would say like 661, then it would be cut off, so it looks really
I think
good.
John has a question.
Yeah, I'm just curious what the annual pro care service contract is.
You show me.
Is that
For Striker,
4,000? Yes.
that is for a service
Oh,
contract.
service contract.
Repair, like if they do the annual maintenance or do any repairs on our stretchers in the ambulance.
So in our ambulance, we have those gurneys.
Yep.
Those are quite expensive, ironically enough. And they have to have an annual maintenance on them. So Park City, for example, never had an annual maintenance plan on those. When we received those two hospitals, we've already had one fail. We're failing. By signing this new contract, we're hoping that, and they're helping us out by saying, hey, we'll take care of it because you signed a new maintenance program with us. We're like, thank you so much. So, but yeah, so that'll be an annual cost that you'll see.
Crazy expensive.
They are nuts.
They are nuts, they're like,
I mean, the gurneys.
because they auto lift to get in there and I was like,
You don't want them collapsing.
no, you don't.
That's the key right there is right now one has a hydraulic leak, so they're hoping because of this lease contract in place, we need. It's like, oh crap.
Crazy.
Nice.
I have a question on 9 of the financial report, because we're gonna hold them together, right? I think it's just a spelling error, but it's Les Olson. IT, is it help desk or is it something
Yeah,
else?
help desk.
HLAP, okay,
So Les Olson, we've contracted in 2024 to be our IT.
okay. It was just a misspelling on help,
Yeah,
and I wondered if that was something different.
So I spell check is your friend always.
It's not available, actually.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's-
enough
Yeah,
time.
download my camera or something.
Yeah.
Sign something up real quick.
It'll cost you.
Any add-on? I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Sorry, John.
So on the March minutes.
Yep.
I have a question just in terms of what level of detail we normally would like to see. Just as an example, on line 20. Sorry, that's fine. Line 73 and 74. Discussion and possible appointment of auditor for the 2023 financial year. So it was Gilbert and Stewart, which is not in the minutes. Do we normally leave those, that level of detail out?
No, that was a mistake. Thank you.
Okay. Also in the March minutes, line 82, the board discussed the purchase of the mini pumper. There was a lot of discussion about the actual cost of it, which was $321,000 versus the approved amount, which was $375,000. So that level of detail is not mentioned.
That level of detail we take. The county clerk, and I think we're taking the guidance on our minutes,
Right.
has started to really shorten the minutes. If somebody wants to know, you can then go to the recording and actually hear the discussion.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can't summarize everything.
So back to the change in state law. Yes, so you can link to the audio or upload it side by side.
And accounting, by the way, I had some questions about something recently. County has changed how it organizes the minutes. And now you can, if you click on the agendas and minutes, and you can listen to it, it'll actually, in some cases, take you to the part of the meeting where that particular item is being discussed. It was the coolest thing. Yeah.
So what program is that?
I know a product that was doing that 10 years ago.
You
You guys are so far.
I know where
Sally Elliott wouldn't buy it.
Brandon,
I was like, still bitter.
GRANIC.
I'll send it to
Please do that.
They handle our,
Because I'm
they
like,
handle our
Might help
agendas.
Phil.
and our-
I would love it for COVID.
And they've also got hot links in the agenda, so you can click on it, takes you to the packet material for that item. Piece of the time, and we used to get long packets, now we just get a hyperlinked
I
agenda.
love that. That's
You
awesome.
want to see a really, really good one? I think probably the best done is, Jackson Hole School up there. What's the name of the county? Teton County Schools. You go to an agenda and you click on it, you can watch the video part of that with subtitles, and you can see every vote all in one
Is
area.
that with Granicus?
No, it's the Word docs.
Oh.
Who designed that?
Some brilliant guy.
Maybe sitting across the table from us.
But
You did.
and then if they've also got their, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, I really would like that.
Yeah.
Let's go.
He's the man that talks the most.
Actually,
Never know.
okay, for the main minutes.
Yep.
Line 20, closed session for litigation should be closed session for real.
It's not for profit.
I typed litigation. I think that was it, but I think Ryan. Tell you to say that, I think there was a discussion about what it should be.
Yeah.
No, the litigation's right.
Litigation is correct.
Right, yeah, because it wasn't real problem.
Correct. That was it. Exactly.
That's right. Because it wasn't the real property, it was the physical.
Considered challenge.
Which is certain, right?
Okay, so with those, anybody have, I think we have one correction, so to the March minutes. So I'll entertain a motion to approve. the
I think it was in May. I don't think I was there.
Last month. Right, were
I,
you-
I was at the horse thing.
Oh, that's right.
So you may want to take me up to that, because I looked, I'm like, no, I knew I wasn't
But you were thinking.
there. Yeah, so if you don't mind taking me up.
I usually do it here in the meeting, I must
Yeah.
have dismissed it, so. Okay, I'll add that. So
So
that's
I'll
great.
entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the changes.
So moved. Can I do that? We're 11 here now? Okay.
Second.
Moved by Louise, seconded by John, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on. Next up, consideration and approval. So the toll gate is up. You have to. hold on, we're gonna freelance a little bit here again. We've already done C. We did B. Let's knock out D, and when John excuses himself, we'll see if he has any board comments and he can leave. How's that for creative?
No, that was only three.
Rather than sitting in an empty hallway waiting. Discussion of possible recommendation to the county council for district policy and procedures approval. Preface, so that maybe it's preface,
Please use whatever you had on the folders.
Yeah, that's probably my bad.
oh, preface, that's good.
Yeah.
Especially during this new year. And I did it last year, so I thank you
I wanna go back.
Yeah, but you're now, you should leave it off.
I was
Set an example for the others. That's leadership. Okay. So walk us through this.
Tyler, you want to do this one? Deployment of security personnel, is that one?
No, we're looking at
Policies.
Oh,
It's a big policy. We're 9B.
sorry, yeah,
Around
that's what I'm trying to find right now too.
30?
Maybe that it starts. So just like we had talked about in the past, 101. We are going through and revamping, and we're gonna be able to present this to the county council for final approval. You guys will be making a recommendation to them of these policies. A lot of these policies, we work with Ryan on the executive side of things or administration side of things. He's approved all of them to form, I believe. And
The ones that you sent.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's the administrative side of things. The next part that we did is we did about 15 or 18 of the operational procedures for different calls. We have a lot more coming, but like we discussed in previous meetings, they're coming out in batches. So sorry for the long packets, but in the next few months, you'll be getting lots of big packets. If you want to go through those, please do. If you have any questions, kind of get with me offline, but there's so much to cover. So I kind of want to leave this section to you guys. Do you have any questions on any of the policies that you've seen, for example? I can answer the questions, but there's so much here that I can highlight a few if you'd like me to.
Yeah, I look at one that just popped up. Sure. Scrolling through. I didn't have crazy changes here, but in policy manual, policy 103, purpose and scope. Policy,
Yes, that's the one that Ryan helped us with.
the definition of the district or NSFD. It says the North Summit Fire District. Should we use that? Isn't the full?
The full official name.
Fire Special Services District or something akin to that.
Here's kind of the funny thing, right? Under the county code, you are the North Summit Fire Service District. As I understand it, some of your registration forms with the state just have you as NSFD.
Just the initials or
North Summit Fire.
North Summit Fire District.
So, I went back and forth on whether to pick NITS, and I figured I would just leave it for the board, but depending on where you are looking, you could be right.
Well, it seems like we should either standardize or create an alternative, North Summit Fire District or North Summit Fire Service District. So that when it does come up in other contexts where it's not consistent, we're still consistent.
Yes, and Tyler, where are you as North Summit Fire District? Is it the public notice website?
Yes.
And then the planning commission,
Actually, it says Fire Protection District.
which is completely wrong.
Yeah.
That's a defunct statute.
So actually, the last resolution I found with our name actually named us North Summit Fire Protection Special Service District. And that's how the federal government recognizes us.
So we can, I assume we can change the name. Let's figure out what we want
North
to
Summit
call
Fire
it
District.
and just make it right.
Yeah, because I know like with, who did we do a grant through, FEMA?
Oh, yeah.
They recognize us that big long name. That was the last official thing they ever had.
Can I ask you to just find out, what's the procedure for those name changes? And it may be, by the way, that may be something that you should research that. Margaret would kill me perhaps from the county attorney to spend much time on this. Just a basic question of, you guys, Ben, if your team could collect every place that our name may come up, tax commission. What is the thing we have to do every year?
Oh, the grant,
The grant,
you made it,
the grant better, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that in all places where you
Yeah.
discover we've got conflicting ones.
Well, I tried to change it with, it's sam.gov, that's the registration to put it on. And basically,
you ain't kidding.
Yeah, it's something adopted to do that, it's, can't just be like, oh yeah, this is what the state recognized, so yeah.
I'm okay with that,
All
let's
work
just
with
get, yeah, and let's just get it changed so there some of it.
Do you guys have a preference? I think us as the fire district, the simpler the better, just NSFD select, I mean, as an acronym and then Norson.
If we don't have to include services for some legal reason, state reason, then let's just make it simple.
I want to confirm that.
Of course.
Because legally, that is, right, your legal name, your given name is as established in county code. So that's the one thing.
And we can always amend the code if we have to, but I don't know that if it's a special services district, does it have to be called a special? We do for or some recreation, we do for Schneider Basin Special Services District, we have others. Service area. We would do that, we would have service area. So whatever we have to do to be legally compliant, let's do that.
But, right, Park City has branded itself as
Park City,
CFD, even though they're also a special service district.
If we can do an SFD or some fire district, let's do that. Would you agree with that? We can vote formally as a direction, let's do that, figure out where it's off.
For sure. So just to kind of touch, maybe give you a little history, we did contract with Lexipol to help us build all these because we're in a different situation, for example, than Park City. They've been established for a long time. They have policies that they've already initially approved through the county council, all the way up to the county council. Anytime, I think, in fact, Chief Zanetti came to the meeting last night, your county council meeting last night, and had just a small policy change, disciplinary policy. So anytime we change these, we have to go through you guys, not have to get to. Go through you guys as the ACB, and then we make a recommendation from you all to the county council, so. And a lot of these, you know, maybe Ryan doesn't know how to operate an aircraft operations.
Maybe I should.
Maybe you should, as an attorney, I don't know. So, you know, it's a good thing that they see it. I think we made that point last meeting where, hey, at least we put eyes on it. If you have any questions, you can get back with us. You know, we touched on a lot of operations after those procedural ones or administrative ones, so we talked on, well.
Luckily, we have a great residence manager.
Yeah, I gotta kick that.
So three-
Keep in mind, a lot of these we may not have, but we could potentially have, so again, we're doing the initial approval. That way, if anything changes, we only have to come back for small pieces instead of the big pieces.
So you want to hear changes now? Is that what we're doing? So we're voting on it? Okay,
Cause whatever you recommend tonight will go to the county council either next week or the next.
so under your chief executive officer, fire chief,
We get
Say-
pages, it's no way
yeah, I'm
out.
gonna give you the page here in a second, it's page 9. Gonna say that you participate in inspection of hydrants. I don't think you participate in the inspection of hydrants, no, you guys. Now, I know in sprinkler systems and elements of fire prevention, I know that I know you check them when they're being built, but this is not.
Say that, I'm sorry, I was lost on the other one.
So, yeah, just that whole line, I know that you know, when a building's going in, you certify them as operational, but you don't check them on an ongoing basis to make sure they work.
Currently, no, right?
So you may want to revise that language.
And I'm trying to, is it policy number?
This is the policy, it's 101, and it's under, as you go down the bulleted list on essential duties, functions, and responsibilities. It's on the second page of that. Thank you. Fourth from the bottom. Participates in the inspection of hydrants. So
We would love to someday get to that point.
I don't think you do.
I agree.
Our city fire district doesn't do that.
No, and a lot of the stuff over here is private, right? So these
Yeah.
smaller ones, we won't even have, we'll have more liability.
That is something we talked about. I would like to have some sort of countywide program where we're certifying these. That's
And before this comes back. I think I'd like you to do a clean read on this.
On 101.
Just make sure that we don't, so keep in mind, once you establish a policy, and I'll refer to Ryan, once you establish a policy, does may create some liability if you're not following that policy.
Correct.
So if this was just borrowed wholesale from someplace else, a lot of this stuff doesn't apply to us. We should thin it out a bit so that it really is, it does apply to more something specifically.
Sure. And if I may.
Yeah.
If we can do it this way, I would prefer, because we'd really like to get some moving and not have to get so far behind, because we only have one meeting per month. If I can revamp the ones where you find the issues, we have done multiple readings, including Ryan on these, including lexical, including each one of the chiefs. We may still have a little like that one, an error in some of them, for sure. But if we find those
Like everything, you've read everything and you're confident that
3 times,
these policies fit with what you do,
yes,
and then you can comply with them.
yes, sir.
So I'm gonna push back really. Usually I'm familiar with Lexipro and the policy development process. Typically what happens is, for most governing bodies, subcommittee or the administration will look at it, present the policy for a first reading. Then we look at it again, right? We don't vote on it when we first see it. We look at it again, we run through it, we make sure it applies to legal, but we'll do a second reading. Sometimes it gets passed there, but often it comes back, it gets passed on the third. Sure. So this is typically how Lexipro works, because it's a boilerplate with, and you went through it and picked this and that, and we do this and we don't do that. But I'm concerned that if something like that got in there, when I know for a fact you don't want to do this, and you said you don't want to do it before, then we may be missing something else.
That's fair. Is there a way to maybe take this one policy at a time, either today or in future meetings, saying, hey, are you guys good with 101? I would hate to delay for years, if not multiple months.
No, I don't think so.
How can we handle that?
I think this is a good group, but like, for instance, on the next page on that same policy, you've got a bullet list with an asterisk.
There's a whole bunch of instances.
Right, with the,
Is there a footnote?
right, and then it says where the asterisks, but this
The
asterisk
job
by
description, you're
itself,
saying?
yeah. And then right below that, it says must live within 45 minutes driving distance of this Rollville station number 21. So,
Yeah, so let me review 101. How do you guys feel about any others, or did you find any?
I kind of did, I read this. There's an extra space under policy 100. You know, under 100.2, under and its district does not tolerate abuse of authority. I mean, I gave it kind of a cursory look. And I found a few things which give me pause to approving really much of anything. So I'd like to spend some real time, read through it, unless we have a policy committee, which we don't have.
Which you don't, you guys can create one. And maybe that's what we do for. Which funds, that's gonna be a lot of time on somebody.
I'm concerned that we passed
I
this.
think isn't
Something's-
Louise the head of the policy?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it?
We-
Personnel policy,
We
this is
personnel, this is different.
Would you like to?
But some of these are personnel, I mean, one thing's job description, that's kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's already been adopted, but I see your point.
I would just hate to miss something and then us have someone who's really paying attention, find some policy that's really weird, and then take a yardstick out and measure how far away you live from Colville Station and say, oh, you know, he's 1 mile
I get
over, he can't work here. Right, because we adopted the policy.
Or if you move.
Well, it might even be worth clarifying that that is unless amended by the employment contract, because you do have an exception in your employment contract.
I do. We can read that.
So,
This is
yeah,
one that maybe even I both missed.
Yeah, it needs to be, to that point, it needs to be clear that there are other.
So the question would be, is,
documents
does my contract need to be amended, or does the job description need to be amended?
No,
That would be a
the-
question for you.
I think if you're adopting the job description as a form of policy, that policy that is adopted should be amended. The job description, insofar as a standalone description, is fine, because you want it to be a one size fits all.
So should we take the job description out of this policy maybe and just leave the policy as a procedure, so to speak, versus we've already adopted the job description and leave it somewhere else?
I think that might be safer along the lines of not
Let's
importing any of
discuss
the
that.
personnel items into
Yeah.
Lexipol. I would keep your personnel items out and separate, because you already have a separate personnel manual, this is
We do, yeah.
operations only.
Right.
And your
But
job
even
description
done-
is personnel.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be in
thank you.
But I think, for instance, the policy about swearing in, that was benign. That would be-
Well, and that's why-
A high-rise policy right now. Do we have any buildings over 75 feet?
Yes,
Where
the high school and the 3-story.
it's over 7 stories high?
I'm sorry, 75 feet. No, we just had 3-story and then the high school probably about 2 stories.
Yeah, so
So maybe we need to adopt that.
Use. Yeah, okay.
if we suddenly start changing our building codes to allow 75 feet, but right now I think we're 38 and 42. something.
That took a deep dive in aircraft operations, that looks fine.
So that's kind of how maybe I would like to handle it possibly in the future is we take it one-on-one if. Just to make some progress, because I really have a struggle, and I've mentioned this to you guys before. Is I don't know if you, I think that we read and pick and choose things that we're interested in and maybe not all 70 pages of it. Should I just, instead of doing batches, should we come back with 1 or 2 at a time? It's just gonna take years to get done. We need these yesterday, so to speak. You know what I mean? We need them sooner than later, but it really just depends on how you guys want to cross this bridge. So can we go maybe like 101 through 105 and then make sure you read and gone through them?
Can I make a recommendation to the chair? How do you feel about reading through these? You're really detail oriented.
Yes. I'm fine, reading through.
Could we have John take a quick look at it and I've had him review information, he's the most detailed person I know.
I don't know, until the visa process.
Well, on policy stuff. I mean,
I'm fine with whatever, I agree that he needs to be able to move through these things, we need
I
to
do
be
too.
able
I
to
feel
have
like
a
we're
plan.
kind of getting
maybe
lost.
just
a
split them
little
up,
bit.
yeah.
And to just bring them to the meeting and everybody have to discuss them every single time, may be a little tedious. Somebody else can look through them.
And
and
don't
go,
get me wrong, this is just one part of the process. We have
Happy to read through them as well.
another to go to.
Why don't you guys split them up? That might be.
I'm happy to read through every single one of them and come up with my own. My only question is, on this program, I can't seem to highlight. Like on my city council, I can. So I can't make the highlighter and the otherwise.
Mine.
Mine goes.
So what do I need to do to it to make it
Let's
so?
look at it.
Okay, let's do that, because if I'm gonna be reading through them, I'm reading through them and I'm like, oh, that's a mistake.
Or do
And
you
I
want
write it
the
on my
words?
phone.
There are some, by the way, there are some, like where you've got that red line there. That may not be a document that you can highlight, because some documents are. Like within PDFs, there's
Yeah.
stuff that you can't
The one she had up.
do that with.
So I need to know what I need to do to change it so I can have my, instead of it being on my phone, which I've left, it could be on the document, which is here.
Let's look at it.
Okay, that would be great. And then I'm happy
And then I
to
don't
read
know that's
them,
correct.
we can show up and go.
We'll have Arthur write another software if we need it.
Oh, no, don't do that to Ari. I've already listened to what he's going to do.
It's in board docs. We're doing policies on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess ours is just, we want to lessen the. Just kind of make it simpler, flow easier.
Four lines would be great, he's
Yeah.
looking at it, that's wonderful, you know, if these two also take a look, I would be thrilled.
Well, just so the board's aware, the chief and I reached kind of an understanding where he decided anything executive or touching on legal matters, insurance liability, that's gonna come to me.
Right.
But stuff like aircraft operations, he's just bringing it straight to the board.
Right.
And can I be totally transparent here? There's some talk about tracking hours now at the attorney's office, so if there becomes. How much we're using them or whatever, if it gets busier, is if we task Ryan with reading 100 policies. It's gonna take a lot of time from him
Yeah.
away from the county.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, potential costs there could be detrimental to the district, so.
Well, we also will be looking at personnel policies in this, right?
Correct, this is
going to
all
be-
procedural,
okay.
we decided.
All right, perfect.
Except for maybe we did miss, you and I both missed the job description meeting.
Those of officers are good, but he's got a policy manual here starting on 103, which is really pretty, you know, and it's pretty intense.
Yeah, some of those bigger ones, we might have missed a couple things, but I'm happy to go back and redo it. How would you like to see it next meeting? Same items,
right.
and maybe like a second version?
I did too. It was like. I think
Yeah.
share them, I would share, what format?
Share
would
it
you
with
like to have?
me,
Word?
and I would
So,
like it a
Word,
couple
Google
weeks
Docs.
ahead.
Yeah, maybe if they could have these in Word.
Well, you have them now, we'll get you them in Word, and then if we can be prepared, maybe next meeting, at least for this batch.
We'll get
And
this
then
back.
you're okay if we redline them?
Oh, 100%.
I am so grateful.
I'll give you
for
access to
you
the
doing
program.
that.
It's a hard, tedious, yeah.
It's a lot.
phone number, Tom.
Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, we can.
Tyler, can you circulate everybody's phone numbers? I think we did it before, but let's.
Denise did a great job on the fictional stuff. That was like spot
Well,
on.
let's just get this so we can give you the.
Yeah.
Okay, let's plunk this piece then. John, do you have any board comments? I think you're excused.
Thanks, John.
That item was listed for action, so you may need a motion to continue it. To either the next meeting or whenever the chief is ready to bring it back. Thanks for.
Well, we're ready for sure by next week.
Okay.
So you will
Thanks,
need
John.
the
Well,
motion.
it's just discussion of possible. So we discussed it, we did. You know, nothing, we decided not to. It's a possible recommendation. If it makes you feel better.
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion to continue the discussion of possible recommendation on district policy.
I'll make a motion to continue the action on policies until reviewed by specified board members and at the discretion of the chief.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, okay, then we have discussion possible refutable to declare the Tollgate shed surplus property. Discussion to direction to staff on disposing of the shed in commercial. Surplus this is on there. Surplus policy with a discussion on how to respond to the revised health. Who do we have? Who is on?
It was Dawn and I and Nick, Chief Jarvis, so it's on you. So we met with George, the HOA president, and one of his other members. And we discussed it kind of in a private setting at Hennifer. Just remember their initial offer was $5,000. We discussed making it more reasonable. And this is what Tollgate has come back with at the $25,000 that they feel is reasonable. I think they would like me to at least share with you that, you know, they don't have, they're similar to us. They don't have a large budget. I think they budgeted, at least for this year, something, and 25,000 might be their limit. But, you know, that's sort of the most too.
The chief, can you remind us what the county raises?
Yeah.
His opinion value was?
Yeah, so he used the depreciation on it. Yeah, and it came in higher than that, but then it was depreciated down to about. So you're hitting that number. So
Okay.
thanks for that reminder.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, I mean, just kind of keep in mind, we had that discussion slightly earlier. It's not real property because the lease agreement excluded the warehouse from the real property, the land that Tollgate already, or the HOA already owns.
Treated it as freely transferable, separate and apart from building.
And that's why we're handling it. Just as a. So I don't know if this is our highest and best, but I think that's where we're at today.
And tell us what the value, $47,000. Is it the-
Yeah, this is the end, that was in the last board packet. I don't have it with me right now, but I want to say it came in. When we built the warehouse, it cost us, I'm shooting from the hip here, it was roughly $45,000 to $48,000. Yeah, the cost of the build today, and this was honestly Dawn's concern, is if you try to build that same building today, you're looking over 100 is what he said, maybe 110, 120, because costs have gone so high. So he feels like 25, they're getting it for a steal.
Really, is
It's
it,
a good deal at $25,000.
and, but is it a bad deal for us to sell it? There's not, like, there are not multiple buyers.
The
He
only,
did mention, oh,
the only thing you could do in this case is, and I just had a conversation with someone down in Heber who has a similar structure, and he's getting new land and moving it, talking about selling it. What they do is they pull the skin and insulation off of it, and the entire frame is worth, quite a bit of money. We would have to go to some sort of surplus sale area like what we're using now, put it on there, bid it out, and then they would come take it apart and move it, right? I don't know that we would get more, but my feeling is you would get maybe 35, 40 grand for it if you went that way, when I did my previous estimate. When I first saw the first proposal, I was thinking if we could get 25 grand, that would be. The thing is, we don't have to deal with it, done, and they get it, and it goes.
and there's a couple of other factors. I mean, it'd be great to be able to move that warehouse to the property that we own up there, right, and be able to utilize it. We just don't have the funds to do that, right? Any capital project. Right?
Yeah.
So that's one part of it. The other part is truly, I think the intent of the relationship back before we were all here. Pardon me, was that by the end of the contract, it would be turned back over somehow or sold for X amount of dollars to the HOA. I truly believe that was the intent, and they could use it. So
What was the number from the appraisal somebody's asking for? I pulled it.
well, thank you.
Yeah, so the county appraiser, he issued an opinion of value.
Yeah, the valued estimate is 25,940.
So,
So we're close.
Yeah,
so we're at the opinion of value, so. we're-
and that's with the depreciation over the years and things like that. Pardon?
I'm good,
We couldn't pay somebody,
no, I'm good.
put it on third of an acre that potatoes are going on.
To the warehouse.
And we risk if we put it on surplus,
Yeah, I mean, that's,
undercuts that 25 and we lose out on.
And then accruing a capital cost, which I don't. know.
we're building some community capital with these people, I like this.
It's 900 less than the value. So.
I move that we accept the offer from, Tolpec. Should I be doing this? Okay, I move that we accept the offer, for $25,000 from the Pine Meadow Ranch HOA. For the metal building that's owned by the North Summit Fire District located at Summit County parcel SS 143-3-A1.
And direct that the chief work with the county attorney's office to come up with the sale agreement.
Right. Exactly, that's exactly what I was gonna say, and the funds, said funds, proceeds would be returned to the capital account. For Summit Fire District. Yes, you can interject, that was something.
So
We also need to terminate the lease, don't
no,
we? Okay.
the item was not noticed as far as the purchase goes, or the sale was not noticed to consummate the transaction. But there is a need for a motion to declare the shed as surplus property and then provide direction to staff on the best commercially reasonable manner to dispose of the shed. Consistent with the.
Let me try it this way. I'll entertain a motion to declare the Tollgate shed surplus property and to direct staff to accept the offer from the Pine Meadows HOA.
Right.
Will acquire the shed from the district with the amount of $25,000 as reported from the team we asked to work on that. And to direct the chief to work with county attorney's office to come up with an appropriate sale agreement that will be brought back to the district for final approval.
So moved.
I'll second that. Moved by Ari, seconded by Steve. Ratified by. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
And I hope Tyler has that recorded. That was long.
Yeah, that's definitely be a re-listen to.
Yep,
So my subject.
We're coming, sorry. Steve,
The only thing I have is I would like to, on behalf of the town of Hannaford, I'd like to invite North Summit Fire District to participate in the Fourth of July parade.
Already planning on it.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Can we have somebody dressed up like a wounded victim?
Somebody who's like maybe really bad.
Pull somebody down the street on a gurney before it collapses? And that gurney goes up and down.
Yeah, a nice ride. I just wanna tell y'all, thank you. You guys help out a ton, so I appreciate all the effort. But honestly, we could have done without just so you guys are there.
We can do without you.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of work for sure, but we're making headway with everybody.
That's Louise. What's happening for the 4th of July?
In Colville? Not anything. We do have the car show coming up, yes, on Main Street on the 22nd, right? Yeah, so that would be great, and just thank you for the fire help with the floods. I expect we'll see bigger numbers on the floods next time.
I think we're
Should we touch
was.
on that? Should we touch
If
on
you're
that?
allowed to touch them.
Fields got flooded, that was crazy.
Yeah, we actually had,
The field is over on the other side too.
Last time I drove home, I've never seen the river. I
Well,
lived here a long time.
the fire department brought a pump, so a lady did not have to redo her house completely. And nothing got inside, which is amazing.
Those are big ass problems.
Yeah,
they were good in size. So just to kind of be aware, Rockport, once that goes over the spillway, how I understand it is that that's an uncontrolled spill.
It's pounding over the spillway right now. I did
Is
not
it?
see any, it's.
And echoes over the spillway too.
And East Canaan as well.
These came
We're all
all, they're all.
East Canaan.
East Canaan, they're full.
We drove back, I was camping with firefighters in Fred Gorgeous Beach, and we came back Saturday, and as we were driving along, the spillway at Rockport is just rushing water.
but they must be managing it because all of the little
The flood that we had.
tributary that we got, because all of the little ditches are full and the fields are full.
Yeah.
It's not happening now,
Yeah,
so, yeah.
it's backed up.
Well, and that house is in a really hard location because on one side, they have a cement wall that the power company has put in. So it all accumulates there. It's really low, it's lower than the river, lower than the canals even.
And then it's got the
And-
ditch on this side
And
and
the
this
ditch,
side that was
and the
full.
ditch has a pinched culvert in it.
Yep, that too.
That's
It was-
really
it was
common.
really
We see that on
complicated.
the west side too.
Yep.
Whenever it floods, these culverts just get jammed up. with-
Yeah.
That causes it to leak. and not clear it out.
Well, and then there's nobody that's in charge of it that claims it.
Yeah.
So here's this poor house that's just getting flooded.
Yeah, we helped sandbag, we helped get the pumps, we had to do a little damage to a fence to be able to get the pumps over into the canal. But overall, I think, it went really well.
That house was.
But can I give a kudos to Louise? She was there the entire time in the hot sun, pushing sandbags with her, was it grandkids?
3 little ones there.
The elders, meaning the.
And the church and the neighbors
And
and
the
the
neighbors,
fire
there's so many
department. They
volunteers.
showed up, everybody, whoever we
It
could
was
get.
awesome with all.
How many inmates escaped?
None of them escaped. They were well taken care of, and we took donuts and, but thank you, Tyler, because I just called and I said, hey, is this fair? Is this legal? Can they come help?
What I really
I
does
don't
about
know.
that is really, that's that small town sense of community.
Yeah.
And I think they stayed till what, 9 p.m. Cause we had to go
About 9,
available.
and we shut everything off because we're like, okay, it's good. I think we finally got the water out of the yard. Yeah.
So we had the same type of thing in Hennifer, just in first of the month or end of last week. So
Yeah.
we had a broken water line and it was going into water in 2 or 3 houses, I think. So
And we gotta save homes. People live there. And dogs.
Is that gonna ruin people's hay crops? I don't know much water. Is it-
No, it should be just fine, actually.
No, they do flood.
Unless they just planted seeds, then it hurts, but.
Right.
So at the last meeting, there was a discussion about appendices to the International Fire Code. Since that time, the chief and I sat down with Pat Hutt, our outgoing community development director. And in looking at the East Side Development Code,
This is right here for you. This is.
oh, there it is.
For after the.
There, it actually makes the most sense to bring a code amendment proposal to the planning commission and then to the county council to incorporate these directly into the East Side development. Once that is done, assuming it is done, then there won't be a need for this board to approve any of this. These standards are already used in Park City Fire Service area, other places across the state. And by putting it in the development code, it's consistent with the other requirements in the code. It already does require compliance with the IFC, with the WUI, a number of other things.
What's really,
The Wildland Urban Interface.
okay, okay.
The acronym.
The difference is, right, you have the State Fire Code Act
I have to do some.
that has set forth a bunch of things that apply statewide. But the appendices were carved out. They don't apply statewide. State law says that those have to be adopted by the local entities. So,
Which gives us the authority to be able to enforce them, and this is a really good way that Ryan was able to kind of nitpick and find, and I think that's a good way to handle it. That's the goal.
it's gonna go to the side planning commission.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been talking.
Keep in mind, this also covers the South Summit too, so it'll cover both sides of both of those two fire districts, so they'll also have the authority and a lot of ambiguity. That's it.
Anything else? You have anything?
No.
No, anything else? I will entertain a motion to adjourn. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Becky, seconded by Ari. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, folks. This was a great meeting.
Seriously, that was great. Thank you so much.
Very nice.
I will get with you and John about the policy this
That
month.
would be great.
I don't know.
Give me a couple of.
Start reading though.
It always gets
I'll
me.
read what